All right, let's talk about the Cody and common Cody mistakes. First of all, we got to talk about what makes a Cody work, and we're going to talk about the shape change. A shape change is something that we'll be talking about probably a lot in these flip tips because every skill, doesn't matter what it is, uses a shape change. And what a shape change is any time where you're manipulating your body from one shape to another, and in doing so, you create flip. That is how you create flip. If you stay in one static position, nothing happens. You can create flip with a shape change. You can create twist with a shape change. To give you an easy example, think about a standing back tuck. When you standing back tuck, you jump, you open into an arch a little bit, and then you close. And that closing action is what rotates you. Okay, the way you close would change what happened, right? So the shape change on a Cody is the part where you're coming into the trampoline bed with your knees bent, your body arched, and your head here, and your arms sticking out in front of you. I'm not an artist, okay? But you come in with an arch, all right, as you hit the trampoline bed. And then after you hit the trampoline bed, you kick your legs out straight and you round your chest and you push down with your hands on the bed. So you're lifting your chest up and you're pushing your feet through. Right? So that's the first shape change. Now, when we do a shape change, we want to get as much of our body flipping as possible so that when we tuck, if we choose to tuck, we accelerate. Right? Big shape to small shape equals acceleration. So what a lot of people will do, the first mistake I see is when they're timering a Cody, when you're practicing a Cody and you're timering, instead of trying to do this shape change and lift their whole body up and rotate to their back, what they'll do is right out of this shape, they will tuck their knees in and try to pull their knees through this way and then try to rotate to their back. Now, if we're thinking about where you want to go in a Cody, which is backwards into a backflip, you want to go up and tip backwards, your knees going forward does not really help you. You are not creating a shape change. And so timering your Cody like that is ineffective. It's not going to teach you anything about the Cody, right? If instead you landed in an arch on the trampoline, created the hollow shape, pulled your chest in and lifted your chest up, and tried to rotate to your back through a straight body shape, and then land on your back still in a straight body shape, that would be teaching you how to rotate because you're using a shape change to make your whole body rotate. So what would happen is if you set like this, flipped your whole body to this vertical shape, and then tucked your knees up, your knees would then be going over your head, which would create rotation. All right? The mistake a lot of people make is trying to tuck too soon. They think, get to my stomach, get off my stomach, get tucked. But if you tuck right away, you miss out on maximizing your shape change. And that might seem odd, but sometimes what is efficient is not necessarily the quickest thing. Right? Speed does not necessarily mean efficiency. And so what you'll see is, you're going to see two Codys. One where I tried to tuck immediately and left my face looking at the trampoline, and one where I waited till my chest lifted, I looked forward and down, and then pulled my knees up. And you'll notice a significant difference in the amount of rotation and how it looks. Right? Another small thing is head position. Now, a lot of people will either have their head too far in or too far out in this skill at the wrong time. So as you're leaving the trampoline bed, if you're looking straight forward and then lifting your head up, your head is way too far out away from the rest of your body, and your body's going to be dragging behind. It's going to take you longer to tuck. Right? Your hips are never going to catch up with your upper body, and so you'll never quite get into maximum tuck speed. If you leave your head down, staring at the trampoline, you usually end up having the issue of tucking before your chest is rising and going back, which, as we saw, tucking without your chest rising and going back doesn't really help you flip, right? It helps you, it really doesn't, because if you think about a body at this angle, right, and then them tucking their knees are going forward, right? It's going to take a lot longer for those knees to go forward and then go back over their head. That's not an efficient direction, right? Whereas somebody in a vertical position, lifting their knees up, doesn't have as far to travel in order to get their knees to start going over their head. And if you watched my last flip tip, you know that you do not start rotating backwards until your hips rise over your head. So the quicker you can make that movement, the faster your Cody rotation is going to be. And so as you're watching those two Codys, notice the difference in chest position before the tuck happens, right? The better one, you'll notice that it takes longer for the tuck to get in. It takes a little bit longer before I'm fully tucked. But because of that, I flip faster and I flip at a greater height, which are both things that you want when you're doing a Cody, right? The other difference is, especially as you start to learn twisting Codys, learning to push your hips instead of your knees. So I'm going to show you two Codys to stomach, one where I pushed my knees through and one where I pushed my hips through, right? And we were discussing shape change, right? And the difference between tucking your knees in right away and waiting to tuck your knees in, you know, practicing this set with your hips open and your body in a straight position. When you do a twist, you can twist tucked, but if you want to do more than one, you're going to have to straighten out more in order to get a little bit more rotation. We know that if we're straighter, we spin faster, right? So if you are setting a flip in this shape, if during the set your body is tucked in, when you straighten out, you are not going to speed up your flip, you are going to slow down your flip. And we want to avoid that with twisting Codys, right? You don't want to stop flipping while you're twisting. You want the flip to continue. So if you set a Cody with a straight body and then twist, you're not going to slow down when you start twisting. You might actually speed up because we'll probably talk about this in another flip tip, but twisting speeds up your flip. Whereas if you did a Cody where you tucked in right away and you set with your knees leaving the bed, you're just gonna slow down. You don't want that, right? When you kick out to twist, you're going to stop flipping, and then at the very end, you're going to have to like rip your knees under you again to try to land on the trampoline, which we don't want, and then you end up with a really gross looking Cody. So practice that. Practice setting your Cody with a straight body rather than tucking your knees through. Practice waiting till your chest rises a little higher before you finish the tuck, right? Pull your chest up off the trampoline and then catch your hips up to it. You know, you can look at the flip tip from 2 weeks ago with the back tuck rotation and think about that concept of pulling your hips under you, right? And then if you're looking to learn more advanced twisting Codys, try to do some Codys where you don't close your hips at all, where you don't tuck your knees in. See if you can do the Cody to stomach with your hips open, right? And then when you go to do a Cody full, set with your hips open like you're going to do that, and then pull your knees in, and you might notice that you have a significantly better Cody. So yeah, keep those tips in mind, right? Try these things. Let me know how they help you in the comments. Don't be the person that makes this mistake of doing the silly timer. You can watch it again just so you can see how silly it looks. Don't be that person. That doesn't help you. All right, see you guys next time.